All right, it's 7 o'clock, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the next installation of the Memphis Astronomical Society General Meeting. We've got a great presentation lined up for you tonight, especially if you have any interest at all in astrophotography. We've got a premier developer of that kind of image processing software with us this evening to talk about a set of tools that he has developed that are free at this point, at least, and rival some of the best software out there, if not better. So I'll leave that to people that know better. But this is the Memphis Astronomical Society, and we have a QR code, which means we're an official thing of sorts. Who knows? Scan that code, and it'll take you to a web page that looks kind of like this, where you can join our organization or at least subscribe to our email distribution list. We don't send a lot of emails, 3 or 4 a month, maybe. We do the go, no go for our observing sessions. We announce the topics of the next meeting and any other important Memphis area related astronomical events. And or you can join our organization for a mere $25 a year and get our newsletter, which is worth it all by itself, and get access to our private observing site. We have a calendar on our website, and this month we have some events coming up, a couple of them in short order. We've got about every weekend booked this month. We've got Mississippi River Star Party this coming Saturday. We've got Village Creek, which if you've been a member for a long time, that's one we've been doing for a long time. That's on March 14th. And then we have our astrophotography group meeting on Wednesday, March 18th. And we have telescope mentoring at Hinton Park in Collierville on the 21st. This coming Friday night, we have an event. It's scheduled in New Albany, Mississippi. So it's an hour and a half drive, I think, from here. But we need help. Mylan tells me today that we've got 147 participants signed up for that event. So the host has taken the extra effort to get it promoted, and we need help with telescopes and stuff to support that many people. So good job, Mylan. We have the president's volunteers. Please step up. I've sent out an email earlier today. And otherwise, if you're otherwise available Friday night to come help with the telescope or just help guide people around to the telescopes, maybe even point out constellations or something. You don't need to bring a telescope. Let me know. Let me or Mylan Vigil know, our vice president of observing. I got it all right. We got some new members since last month. Dennis Steele, Scott Brown, and Jackie Greening. Welcome to the Memphis Astronomical Society. I hope you find you get a lot out of it. We hope we're glad to have you. Announcements. We've got we have tried to have open communication between our members and giving you a place to ask questions, check things out, comment, kind of like social media, kind of, sort of, maybe, but a very limited group, not open to the public. And we did that in Slack, and I don't know if we just didn't set it up well. It got discombobulated. And then in Slack, without paying an outrageous fee, they basically, you only keep your stuff there for 3 months. So after 3 months, any conversation you had in the past, any pictures you may have posted, all that stuff, go away. Well, we are not going to pay the outrageous fee. We don't charge enough for membership. So we're decided to migrate over to another similar program called Discord. And it turns out that Discord is actually more heavily used in our hobby, in astrophotography and others. And it never goes away. You've got my son's had Discord for decades, and he's got stuff out there that's not as old as him, but almost. Anyway, Discord is our new format, our new platform. I know, another sign in, another login. Get over it. Get signed up. Get the app on your phone. Whatever you want to do. But if you have any questions about that, Steve Wright can help you get it squared away. We have, as a reminder, you can place ads if you've got gear you want to sell, trade, swap, or you want to buy. If you want to post an ad in our newsletter, it's free to members, and no one's taken advantage of that yet. Residents, volunteers. So this is what I have failed miserably at over the years is getting people to communicate with us when they're volunteering to go help with these public events, public presentations, public observing sessions. And it's a roll of the dice. You know, when you have one, people say they're going to come, some do, some don't. I'm trying to create some kind of atmosphere of commitment to these sort of things to help us get set up and participate in these things with some degree of confidence. And to that end, I've created the President's Volunteers list. It is a separate email distribution that I run, and we have the reward for doing this, of course, is that we're going to have special events for the President's volunteers. Last year, we had a dinner at our treasurer's house that was absolutely to die for. I suspect if we twist his arm, we might be able to do something like that again this year. But
maybe
it's sign up if you want to be on that list, if you want to participate, if you want to help educate the public the way we try to. Sign up, get in touch with me, and sign up for President's Volunteers. And if you haven't done so, start filling out your Astro Bingo card. This is a coolness. There will be prizes. We don't know what yet, but there will be prizes. We have a newsletter. Our Steve Wright, our VP of programs, does this. He is absolutely superb at it. This alone, our newsletter alone, is worth the price of membership. This month, it's got some information about our presenter tonight, and it's got some information about a program he didn't write called Lucky Stack Worker, which is a planetary image stacking software package that looks pretty fascinating. And lots of other good information. Of course, the monthly star charts are there. And we now have a new version of the star charts for the light polluted star chart. So it shows you what you should expect to see from the city versus what you should be able to see from a dark sky location. The astrophotography group meets about the middle Wednesday of the month, and it's a Zoom meeting. And this month we'll have some discussions about image processing from some of the new robotic telescopes like the Dwarf and Sea Stars, that sort of thing, and how to get a better image after the fact out of those devices. Perhaps if time permits, we'll have some information about a MAS tool in PixInsight. I'm assuming that doesn't stand for Memphis Astronomical Society tool, because I don't think there is one, but it's something else. And then best practices for naming images in Nina, which is a small computer program or an operating system, I think, that is run on small PCs, control computers. I don't use Nina. So you need to be a member and sign up for the astrophotography group. But you can, the link's on our webpage. You can join the meeting if you're not. We have swag. We have Memphis Astronomical Society logoed stuff. Oops, wrong pocket. There you go. And but we don't make any money off of it, but it does give you an opportunity to show your support for our organization in all kinds of ways, coffee cups, etc. So you can jump over to Cafe Press and order your Memphis Astronomical Society swag. So tonight we're going to talk about astrophotography processing, and this has been a large portion of the Memphis Astronomical Society in the last 4 or 5 years. We've really gotten a lot of members that dive deep into this. And there's a new set of tools out there called Seti Astro Pro Suite. And they're cool. And on top of all that, they're free. And they're done by a really smart fellow that's going to talk to us tonight about those processes, maybe how to use them, and describe perhaps some of the math involved. But I can tell you, I haven't used them much. I've started to tinker with them. But the other members of the astrophotography group are swearing by them, and this is a good sign. So thank you very much, and Frank, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, so let me share my screen. See if I can get it here. Yeah, can you guys see it?
We can.
Okay. So yep, this is I guess I'm Seti Astro, Frank Marek. And you guys are the misfits, is from what I heard. But a little about me, and you kind of had it in that paragraph. I was a former U.S. Navy nuke electrician, submarines. I was on the USS Florida. Did 8.5 years with that. Not a whole lot of stars. Can't see the sky very well in a sub. But after I got out of that, kind of continued that same industrial field. I work in the industry, and we repair large electric motors and generators. But pretty much ever since getting out of the Navy, I've been doing astrophotography. Started just with a toy Tasco little refractor thing that I held up my smartphone to and took some pictures of the moon, right? And the bug bites you from that moment on. And this was me. Took the family up to Arkansas for that last eclipse. Had a lot of fun with that too. So where all this started, because geez, yeah, 2 years ago now I started my website and started just making videos on the images I took and stuff like that, and I started doing PixInsight tutorials. It just kind of evolved. It happened. I don't know. And at about that same time, ChatGPT was getting a lot of, I don't know, people were almost mocking it, trying to make a little, ask it to write a workflow for me or ask it to write blah. And they were making little kitschy videos with that. And I was like, well, maybe I should ask it if it knows how to script in PixInsight. I've been getting a lot of questions. I know what I want to do into it. So that's what I did. And this is my very first discussion with it. And if you guys can see, let me zoom in. I was like, I'm a decently smart guy. I should be able to figure out how to make a script in PixInsight to do what I need to do. I don't know any coding. Hopefully this thing knows coding. And so, I mean, I literally started with like, hi, are you familiar with PixInsight? Do you know about writing scripts in it? Do you know what JavaScript is? Like all this stuff, and just kind of went through and worked through some examples with it, just trying to do anything, I guess, at that point. There was a couple other good resources. One was really good one by Roberto Sartori, and it's a video on how to script in PixInsight. So if any of you guys are looking to actually script in PixInsight, highly recommend using AI and watching this video. It'll help a bunch. And so that's kind of what helped me get into the whole thing, because I'm not a coder. Um, like I like big industrial electrical things, right? That's not really coding. But I do know math, and I was asked by somebody on YouTube, "Hey, how do you stretch your stars so well?" And I knew what I did. I would open up histogram transform. I'd bring that mid-tone slider down to about a quarter, and I'd hit that blue square a couple times until the stars looked right. And that's all I did. I was like, but I should be able to do better than that and help this person out. So what's really interesting is we're all familiar with XISF if you have PixInsight. It's their file format for files. And the interesting thing is they have a full specification for it, because PixInsight wants it to be like the next fits, I guess. So they have a full spec for the whole format of the images in there, and it's all written out really well. And about halfway into this thing, right below here, they have right here. This is the midtones transfer function. They define it in here. It's the math in here. So this is exactly what the midtones slider thing in histogram transform is doing. This is the math in it. I was like, perfect. So I could use that equation. I knew I was just dragging that thing down to a quarter and going. So if you plug a quarter in for M and just simplify the math, you get this 3 times your image over 2 times the image plus 1. And then since all I would do is hit the square multiple times, you got to put this whole thing back in for X. And again, I was still at a quarter, and just simplify the equation again. And now you got like 9 times the image over 8 times the image plus 1. Rinse and repeat again. And you can start noticing some patterns here. It goes 3, 9, 27. Okay, those are powers of 3. 2, 8, 26. Those are powers of 3 minus 1. So I could actually just simplify this whole process down to a nice analytic equation here, where you could have any amount in for the stretch and not a whole number or whatever. So when you're using star stretch, if you've used that script in PixInsight or even in Seti Astro Suite Pro, if you have it set to a 5, that's literally the same math as if you pulled that slider down to a quarter in histogram transform and hit this square 5 times. That's literally what this is doing. And that's how I made it. I was like, this is perfect. It's going to help this guy stretch his stars. He's going to have a nice little slider. Good to go with that. And about the same time too, I was struggling going linear to nonlinear. GHS was out, but man, it could be real finicky for a new person trying to stretch a linear image with GHS. Everything you do in it was completely arbitrary, where you set your symmetry point, how much you pull the slider, all of it, right? It was 100% arbitrary, based nothing to do on your actual image, just all by eyeball. And I was like, I got to do something better for me and hopefully other people. And so what I realized is we could reverse this equation. If I know my end state, where I want to go, I know what my current state is. So if I want the median of the image to be like 0.25, we know what the current median is of the images. It's just in statistics. We should just be able to reverse this whole equation. And that's what I did. You solve for X, the great solve for X thing from, high school math. You end up with this really nasty looking thing with logs and this over log 3, all that. It doesn't matter. The computer's going to do it for us, right? We don't got no slide rule that we're got to log tables to look any of this up. So fine, it doesn't matter, because what this gives us is an analytic solution to that recursive histogram transform that we could solve exactly for. So this is the core of statistical stretch. And if I would have known it was going to get popular, I would have named it something else, because I think it's a terrible name. But I guess we're stuck with it now. It's too late to change it. But that's what statistical stretch does. It uses the statistics of your image to find a black point, so it clips down to the black point quick, and then it uses this reverse formula to set the median to exactly wherever you want it, right? So that's why it's your target median. It's just whatever you want it, and it's just going to solve for it exactly and stretch it in one go. I've always thought statistical stretch was just a good springboard to do that initial linear to nonlinear stretch. So once you're there, by all means, pull out GHS, start tweaking it with curves, right? Hit it with all these different tools, because now you've got a good just baseline stretch to get you up out of the weeds with your linear data. And that was always my intention with it. Kind of also out of necessity at the time, I was shooting with an acro refractor. It was the Orion 120 ST. Still love it, especially for narrowband stuff. But with an acro, your blues, if you are shooting RGB, are terrible. Huge bloated blue stars, right? And I noticed my narrowband stars were better than my RGB stars, right? And so out of necessity, I made narrowband RGB stars to make good looking RGB stars out of my narrowband data, because my RGB stars were trash. So a lot of my stuff you're going to find, it was out of Frank's necessity, and hopefully other people use it too. This was 100% one of them. And then kind of following the same path in PixInsight, I saw a user in the forum was trying to make a fine background script, and they were going about it in a very brute force way, checking these little tiles recursively over the entire image to find like the background, or the dimmest part of the image. And I thought that was a terrible way to do it. And I worked with that individual, and I was like, look, we could use something called gradient descent and do this way faster and better. And the idea is that if you have an image, the bright points are going to be like high points on a hill, and the dim areas are going to be like valleys. And what we could do is just sprinkle a bunch of balls on your image and just let them roll downhill, and wherever they settle, we could just choose those spots where they settled and call that the background. And that's the premise of how this works. So it naturally avoids nebulas and stars and bright stuff like that. But this wasn't my end goal with this. And about that same time, PixInsight came out with their gradient correction process. Not Mars yet, the other one, the gradient correction. And that thing was, and still is, it's terrible. I mean, I got some videos on it. It utterly strips your image of signal. It's not good. I don't know what it's doing. It's not good. So I was like, I could use this fine background stuff. I could use this gradient descent on the image and help automate what I still think is one of the best ways to remove gradient in your image, by placing a bunch of points on there manually and creating a good RBF model, whether that's in PI with DBE, or if you have GraxPert, it has that manual way to do it. And so I came up with Auto DBE. It does a quick ABE on your image to get rid of the bulk global gradient, right? You might have a huge linear cast from the moon or something, and that's just going to take care of that. And then at that point, I just put a bunch of balls on the image, let them all roll downhill, and those spots then I could use as the sample points for DBE. And then when I first started this, a bunch of smart people were like, well, what about dark nebula? And I was like, that's a great point. So I added exclusion areas. So all the balls don't settle down in the dark nebula, right? That's not where you want them all out here in the gradient stuff. You don't want them in there. So in PixInsight, you draw these boxes to exclude those areas. In SAS Pro, it's a lot easier. You could actually just draw freehand whatever you want. But that was kind of the premise of AutoDB, because I didn't like that new process that they had, that gradient correction, and all my tests with Graxpert gradient removal at the time too, it was stripping a lot of signal out of your image as well. So again, out of necessity, I kind of made this, and I still swear by this thing for almost every image. The next thing out of necessity, and for you PixInsight users, masks. There was no good way of making a mask in PixInsight. There was Game, which was the Galaxy Adaptive Mask Editor, where you could draw ellipses around your galaxies to make a mask. And then they also had this multi-point mask something. It's terrible to use. If you've ever tried to use the multi-point thing and the little things you got to click on to move them around, and it just never, it was so finicky, it never worked right. So again, out of necessity, and a little bit of a joke with the name, since there was the Game script, I did the Fame script for freehand adaptive mask editor. And I just like, we need this thing. Like, why can't I just draw a mask and make a mask? So that's where this came about. Now I think a lot of people use it, and creating masks in SAS Pro is exceptionally easy because I made it exceptionally easy after dealing with PixInsight's masking. And then just some other little tools to like merge your masks together and stuff like that. Since not a lot of, believe it or not a lot of people like using pixel math out there in the general groups. So, just to make an intersection or a union of the two masks, things like that, where you can do it in pixel math really, really quick. Again, surprising me, who loves math, a lot of people don't like that. They'd rather use some drop downs and make a selection and go with it. And then another thing out of necessity was my blemish blaster. And I'm sure, again, for those using PixInsight, you've used Clone Stamp. Man, that thing can be finicky. You're trying to find a good sample point. You click on the blemish you're trying to get rid of, whatever the star artifact or whatever, and the background doesn't quite match. You're undoing it a bunch and trying to fiddle with feathering and all sorts of stuff. And again, out of necessity, I was like, we should be able to do better. And so I made Blemish Blaster. And what it does is, when you draw that circle around whatever you want to remove, in the background, it actually draws 6 tangent circles to that circle you drew. And then it finds the 3 best circles, of what it thinks is the best circles around it. Actually, it takes the 3 middle circles in brightness. So the really, like, if there's a bright star here, it wouldn't use that circle. Or these 2 are really dim, it's not going to use those. And then pixel by pixel, it's going to take the 3 pixels out of each of those, find the middle one, and paint that into the middle circle. So pixel by pixel, it builds it all up to replace the middle thing. So it's content aware. It sees the content surrounding that area, like really close to that area, and it's not like AI. It's not guessing what should be behind there, and at the same time, it's really not what's behind there. But that wasn't the point. My whole goal with that is, given this image, I think you'd be hard pressed to tell me where the blemish was that we erased, right? And that, I think, is the point of all are pretty pictures, right? If you're at the point where you're using a clone stamp or something like that, you're making a pretty picture. That's what it is, right? You've lost scientific value anyway. So that was the whole point of blemish plaster, and I I love it. I use it a lot. I rarely use clone stamp anymore with that, and so these were like a lot of the core ones I made in PixInsight were really out of necessity for all that, and it wasn't until about this point that I could start making ones that I thought were more fun for me. So what's in my image? I'm obviously a big nerd, and I like exploring my image after I've taken it. We have amazing equipment in our backyards, and it can take very detailed images of the heavens now that professionals 20 years ago would have died to have, right? It blows me away how powerful our equipment is in the backyard. So I love exploring what's in my image. And so that's kind of where this started. And PixInsight, the version in SAS Pro is way more powerful since PixInsight's scripting environment is extremely limited. But this is where it started. You know, it gave you an opportunity to start exploring your image, finding objects into it, and starting to dig more into the science behind them. I also made some other ones like Halo Be Gone, just again out of necessity for me to help remove some halos around acro stars, continuum subtraction, just to help with that math. You could do this manually, no problem. Just scripting it, it helps a lot of people. And then kind of really the other fun one in PixInsight is the perfect palette picker. And this one is, well, there was the 4X palette utility by oh can't think of Polyman Astro, and I love that. I love the 4X palette. And if you ever go on Astrobin and look at the image you're gonna take for an object, you're probably going to find thousands, if not tens of thousands of images out there of the same exact object you're going to be shooting. And a lot of the time it's all the same, put it. So I wanted to do this more for fun, but just to get some of these other palettes out there that try something different. If you want your image to stand out a little bit more, and everybody has imaged X, Y, and Z a million times, go ahead and try something new. On my Discord, I have somebody right now that is doing really crazy work with HSS. They just love it. They're these beautiful, they almost look like grayscale images with this stark red hydrogen stuff happening in them. They're just gorgeous. And I understand it's not the typical SHO, but the only reason that's popular is because Hubble made it popular, right? H HSO is another one that's actually really popular out there in ESA. It just doesn't get a lot of love in the US, I guess. But it's just pull them all up. If anybody's ever watched any of my videos, I probably use two or three of these and average them together anyways. Like I may like some of the detail in one of these palettes and kind of the background in another one. And a lot of the time I'll just end up like averaging them or doing some kind of a weighted average and just going for it. And I encourage everybody else to try it. Just have fun sometimes with these palettes and see maybe you're going to have a different spin on the same object that everybody else has already imaged too. So that's kind of the core ones in PixInsight. I have a lot more scripts in there. I recently got like my new AI4 Cosmic Clarity to run via SAS Pro into PixInsight and signature adders and a bunch of other stuff in PixInsight, right? But I'll continue on because there's other people out there that don't have PixInsight, and even if you do have PixInsight, there's a question: should I even get Seti Astro Suite Pro? And the answer is yes. You absolutely should get it. It's free first off, right? So why not have more tools in your tool belt? And SetiAstro Suite Pro can do a bunch of things PixInsight can't do. So even if you are a die-hard processing in PixInsight person, there's a bunch of stuff in SAS Pro that would probably still benefit you, um, even if you want to do all your processing in PixInsight. So some of the cool things in SAS Pro is a really upgraded blink comparator with graphical culling. And I'm sure everybody's used blink comparator in PixInsight to look for bad frames or whatever. It's really annoying. There's no way to flag or move or delete an image in that thing. So you got to jot it down or have another folder open or something. In SAS Pro, it's really nice. I'll show you here in a second as well. Um, but it could just do a whole bunch for you. We before the meeting we talked about image MM a little bit. I got some pictures on that. I have my own WaveScale HDR and dark enhancement, and it does a really good job. I mean, I just saw the announcement that PI finally added an amount slider to their HDR transform. It took them what 10 years to do that? Like it just anyways, WaveScale HDR really good if you need good HDR tools. And then there's some other stuff in there that aren't. It's just not in PixInsight. There's an isophoto modeler. Like I said, there's the upgraded What's in My Image with 3D modeling and an HR diagram. I know recently Mike Cranfield came out with an HR diagram in PixInsight. The one I have has a lot more advanced features. Don't tell Mike that, but it is a more robust HR diagram. And again, it's because it's not living in PixInsight. You could do more stuff. I have an exoplanet and transit detector, live stacking, layers. I could use layers in SAS Pro. So all the people that like using Photoshop because of layers, just do it in SAS Pro, and a lot more. So just even talking about some of these, like here's my blink comparator. If you click show metrics, it's going to pull up this box over here for you. These red lines you can grab and move up and down. It flags them for you like that, much like their brand new subframe selector thing they added to WBPP just like 2 weeks ago. Except you could actually grab the things and move them up and down. You don't got to type in a number for these. And it'll flag them off to the side. And what's great over here, if you right click these, you could say move all the flagged items or delete all the flagged items or whatever you want to do with them right from here. You don't gotta do anything else. You don't gotta go anywhere else. Talking about image MM, and that was I think end of November or early December. Sukherjee et al. Came out with their white paper, and it laid out what the professionals do now for stacking, if my internet connection works. But yeah, here it is. So it's a multi-frame deconvolution method of stacking, and it's been in the professional sphere for a long time now, but really hasn't trickled down to us because our computers weren't powerful enough at the time. It is more resource intense than traditional stacking. So if your computer right now struggles with WBPP, ImageMM is probably not for you at this moment. But what it does is it takes a full median stack of your image, like a traditional median stack of your image, and then for each image, it blurs it by a certain amount and tries to do a multiplicative guess as to how to undo that blur back to the median image. and then it can use that sharpening data. It learns from that in this iterative process to sharpen your image. And then I had my own little white paper I made as well on how to actually implement this in software like ours, right? And it kind of lays out a whole bunch of stuff here, how I do it, so that way others making software can go down the same path and do it for themselves. So I thought that was really important, that if us amateurs were handed this gift from the professionals, that it should be out there for everybody to try to break down and actually use. So I did write that, and it is different. It's not traditional stacking. So you can't like drizzle from that data. It has its own super resolution process it can use. There's no rejection is another thing. So if you have a frame that has a bunch of hot pixels or a big satellite streak through it, those pixels will be down weighted based on the Huber amount you select, but they're not gone. They're not rejected. So it's just something to think about if and when you do try using image MM. The other thing is the images will be sharper, but you're probably going to have more noise. And I think you can see that. So here's image MM on the left and traditional stacking on the right. The traditional stacking looks softer with less noise versus the image MM, which is sharper with more noise. And I think that's something people get hung up on for some reason or another. Noise isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's the sharpness that you're getting out the gate that is the important thing. We have a ton of methods to deal with noise now, right? There's NoiseX. Graxpert has a denoiser. I just came out with a really awesome denoiser because mine's the best and I made it. But we have methods of dealing with noise. It's that initial sharpness out the gate from your data that is so important, right? This is not a neural net guessing at the sharpness, right? This is your data in an iterative process to get it kind of almost as sharp as it can out of the stacking gate. And I don't think people kind of, well, I've been told, yeah, it's a little sharper, but that's not a whole lot. Like, what's the big deal? The big deal is this is a new way of stacking. We've been stacking images the same way for like 20 years. You just put all the images together, take a big old average. Sure, there's some fancy rejection for pixels now, but it's the same thing for like the last 20 years. This is in the infancy of amateur stacking at this point, and a lot of smart people are going to be able to take this and do brilliant things with it and improve upon it and going. And I'm sure when drizzling was first handed down to us from the Hubble team, it wasn't what it is now, right? Like, there's no way. We've been improving that for a long time to get it to where it's at. So I am really excited about this, and I hope everybody else that makes Astro software implements this, because I know they're going to implement it better than me. I'm a non-coder that's doing this for a hobby, right? Like, somebody that actually does this for a living should be able to do this a lot better than me, and I'm really excited for it. What's in my image? Like I said, there's a bunch of fun things in SAS Pro, like the 3D distance plotting is really fun. I have an updated HR diagram, and in my implementations of these, it's all interactive, right? You can move this stuff around. You can click any of these dots, and it'll take you to the Simbad website for that target. It's just a whole bunch of fun stuff like that to explore your data further. Like I said, I have WaveScaleHDR and dark structure enhancement. They do what they say, and I think that's something a lot of us don't really think about very much, but especially with HDR, when you first start with your linear image, all your data is like smashed up against the left of the histogram, right? All of it lives there. and then you stretch it out a whole bunch, you may end up, especially on something like the Eagle or Orion, where a ton of your data in the core is now smashed up against the right hand of the histogram. It's not lost, it's not clipped, it's still there. We just got to unstretch that bit back down a little so you could see it better. So that's really what WaveScaleHDR is. And then the dark structure enhancement is just the complement to that. It does kind of the same thing, but on the dark end, compressing that down further to get more structure on the dark side of things. I mentioned I have an exoplanet and variable star detector. If you've ever done any variable star work, and maybe some people in your society have, the traditional software before I made this, you choose your target star, and then you'd have to choose like 5 or 6 ensemble stars, and then run through all the algorithm to get your light curve. And I was thinking, why am I selecting any of this? Why can't the program do this for every single star, and for every single star pick a dozen ensemble stars for that? So that's what I did. So it'll take your stack of stars. So if you have your registered images, a lot of people want to know what to do with those registered images, and a lot of people just delete them. You could use them for this. You put all your registered images in there. It's going to look at all your stars, and it'll flag any that it sees variability in. And then like this particular star, I saw this really nice curve. And I have some buttons down here where you can query test cut. So TESS is the space-based observatory for exoplanet transits. And it has a ton of data on a ton of stars now. So you can click that. It'll look through its database and see if it has any light curves that it has for that same exact star. And in this case, it did. This bit right here, some garbage out of its data. But what really caught my eye was the curve up here. Looks really good, looks really close to this curve starting here too. So it's not the same time, right? I took my data at a different time, but it's always really cool to see how your data can match up to professional data as well, and try to it's just something new, right? We have these scientific instruments in our backyards, and they could do so much more than just take a picture. So I wanted to put as many just tools like this in SAS Pro as well. Before the call, we were talking if I was going to give any love to planetary stacking. Yeah, I did. I have a full planetary stacking and processing in Seti Astro Suite Pro. It's very much like you would think. It measures all your frames, it aligns them all, it does the little region of interest areas all over the planet, and it does the alignment of all those to get a single frame. And then I have some very powerful tools in Seti Astro Suite Pro, and I could even do an example of this, to process those planets right in Seti Astro Suite Pro. So, I'm thinking when I've done it in the past, I've used Auto Stacker to do the stacking, and then I would open Registax to hit it with some wavelets, and then I would put it into Image MP or IMPPG to do some funky curves with it, especially for solar work. And I do all that in SAS Pro now. It's all in there. And the other fun thing is, since like I have control of the software I'm making, I put a whole bunch of fun 3D things into it. So you could do like stereographic projections where you're like do cross-eyed, if anybody remembers those magic eye things. You could do that with your planet and see your like Jupiter in 3D. I also have where you could do surfaces. So this is a pseudo surface. It's not scientific, right? The brighter areas are like closer to you and the dimmer areas are further back. And you could wiggle it. and you can see kind of, your structure pop out. The other one is I make it interactive, so it'll project your image onto a 3D sphere that you can move around and look at the poles and stuff like that. So a lot of cool stuff in the stacking suite. There's even a setting you can use old school 3D glasses if you have them to do it, and on and on and on. There's just so much in Seti Astro Suite Pro, from object SNR detection. I have full photometric magnitude calculations in there. Like, if you've ever wondered how bright a nebula is, you could actually calculate that from your image. Texture and clarity, finder charts, selective color correction. It just, I mean, it just keeps going. So there's a lot in there, and we haven't even touched on some of the other fun ones that PixInsight users would probably really like too, like an AstroBin exporter, where it automatically gets your acquisition details, so you don't got to put all that into AstroBin. It'll just go through all your lights, shoot you a thing that you can copy paste right into AstroBin. It's going to populate all your acquisition details for you and stuff too. Batch fits, header modifiers, all sorts of fun stuff in there. But before we hop in there, maybe I'll pause. I've been talking solid now for like 50 minutes, and see if there's any questions at this point, and then I could hop into SAS Pro and show you guys some stuff.
So feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand and put it in the chat, and one of us will try to get it verbalized to Frank.
We can just ask it. Do you actually do work for a living?
Yeah, I do. I'm actually traveling to LaPorte tomorrow. We're rolling out. I'm part of a integration team, so a lot of our service centers, repairing these motors and stuff. Right, it's an old industry since Thomas Edison built an old electric motor. So a lot of the shops still very much paper and pencil when they're tearing down motors, making them, doing all those things. And we're in the middle of transitioning to tablet forms where they could actually put their information on tablets and stuff like that. And we're rolling out a completely new set of component-based forms for them. And I got to go to Houston tomorrow to sit with the guys on the floor and work through those new tablet forms and stuff. So yes, this is 100% a hobby. So donations help keep me in the hobby. But yeah, it's more a passion project from a guy that's too stubborn to say he doesn't know how to do something, is kind of where it came from.
Amazing.
All right, so Seti Astro Suite Pro. Maybe I should.
Frank, before we move on, what's going on with cosmic clarity? Are you making?
Okay.
You just got another revision out, right?
Right. So AI4 came out, and it integrated in Pro now, so it's not the standalone cosmic clarity programs anymore. And so, like in PixInsight, it's a new script. It just calls Seti Astro Suite Pro behind the scenes to run cosmic clarity, and then it retrieves that information back into PixInsight. Very similar to how it had to do with the old cosmic clarity. It's just much more improved by a lot. So AI4 pretty much rivals what's out there right now for sharpening and denoising. And my star removal, I'm going to admit it sucks. So I'm probably going to be retiring that, but that's fine, because a new company just came up to Sycon, and they're making a brand new starless tool And like the version in Seti Astro Suite Pro, if you want like the cheap version that they made for SAS Pro, it's $5. So I mean, it's yeah. I'm not going to continue my Dark Star if they got a product like that for $5, right? Like that's a lot of work for me to do to have something like that. But AI4 is out. The denoising is just amazing. And then like I said, the sharpening is really it's really accurate. It doesn't hallucinate. So be sure to check them out. You'll need SAS Pro, and they recently for Cyril, if there's any Cyril users out there, Adrian, who is one of the software developers for Cyril, just ported AI4 over to Cyril as well. So it's available over there.
One more reason, Brian.
Hey Frank, so what does your process usually look like after you get all your data acquisition done? Do you do everything in SetiAstro?
Heck no.
Oh,
What
okay.
do you mean do everything? Do you
Well,
see how many buttons are up here? No, you're
yeah,
gonna do them all in an image. Um, no, it really depends on the data.
yeah,
So there's some hard and fast things that you should do right away with every single image. You want to crop it, right, to crop out stacking artifacts. Um,
yeah.
there's I have a pedestal removal button. It's not necessary, but I like doing it. It just cuts off any blank area to the left of the histogram below your lowest pixel value to give you more headroom to work with as you're stretching and stuff. Um, and then something like
Are you using Pixel Math to do that?
for pedestal removal, yeah,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah, just find the minimum value in the image and subtract it. So in PixInsight, yeah, you would just go like $ target minus minimum or min $ target if you wanted to do something like that in Pixel Math. And then yeah, just background neutralization. I always do a stellar based white balance. I almost never do SPCC. I have my own opinions about that. I honestly think it's a waste of time. You're just doing a white balance on your image. As soon
Yeah.
as you do a nonlinear stretch after SPCC, you break that calibration, right? So the only time you really need to do SPCC is if you're going to do photometry. If you're not doing photometry, all you're doing is white balancing, right? It's just
So
a
even
fancy
with
white balance.
like a dual narrowband uh imaging, you think it's a waste of time? Like
Dual narrowband imaging, I wouldn't do it at all. I would put that
yeah,
image in perfect palette picker and find a fun palette,
yeah.
right? Because
Oh,
you
okay.
have hydrogen and oxygen data or oxygen and sulfur.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
as a mono imager, I would never combine my hydrogen and oxygen stacks and then try to do some color balance with that. That would make no sense to me. So I don't know why it would make any sense to somebody with an OSC with a dual
yeah.
band filter to try to do that together either.
I guess there's like a lot of misunderstanding of like what certain functions do. I mean, I've
Yeah.
used it before. Like I processed the image without it, and then later I went back and did that, and I didn't really see much of a difference. But I was assuming it was more accurate, right?
Accurate how?
Yeah.
Like color balance, really. Like ratios and everything. But I guess, like you said, it doesn't make any sense if you know,
Uh, uh,
you're
uh, uh,
choosing colors
yeah,
anyway.
you're accurate to your eye. There's
Yeah.
yeah, so SPCC first that doesn't actually work for dual narrowband filters. That's a big farce. So um, it just doesn't. You're just doing a ratio of where your two values are versus two arbitrary values on the spectrum at that same spot. You're really not taking areas under the curve or anything anymore, which is what SPCC really requires. So yeah, and every manufacturer's bandwidth on their filter is going to be a little different. And since the filters are so narrow, that amount of change can actually impact it quite a lot, just a little bit, when you're doing a color calibration with something like SPCC or trying to use it for that. So it just doesn't work in practice. So especially for dual narrowband filters, you don't need to. Like I said, I would recommend the stellar-based white balancing. Let me just open an image. I don't know. Let me find something here. Yeah, whatever. Oh, that's probably a bad image. That's okay. Let me get that.
So you got anything planned for the moon in the morning?
No, it's going to be kind of like right before sunrise, and I don't know. I've never been a big lunar eclipse guy.
Mm.
Yeah, taking a picture. I'm not good at taking pictures of it. Maybe that's the problem why I don't like it. So like if you use a star-based white balance that I have in here, it's just going to detect the stars and adjust your white balance so they're white. And that's kind of all SPCC is really doing. And it does this where it finds where all the stars are now and kind of tries to neutralize them to a neutral gray, so that when you do a linked stretch, the white balance is there. And that's all SPCC is doing. It's just adjusting that final white balance to be slightly oranger or more slightly bluer based on the reference star you selected. But that's it. It's crunching all the numbers from all the differences and all the magnitudes in the stars it found into one division that it's going to do in the end anyways for your color calibration. There's no like across the field variability or anything. It's all one. It's a linear fit, and that's all it does. At least in PI, it's a linear fit. In SAS Pro, SPCC can use a quadratic fit if it fits it better to help with the dimmer stars. But in the end, that's all it's doing. It's a white balance.
Well, I mean, I guess I could stay away from it though. Then maybe save me some time.
Yeah, I would. If you're in SAS, use the white balance thing. If you're in PI, let me just grab a very similar idea in PI.
Except it requires a plate solve.
Nah, no, I'm saying for a stellar-based one.
Okay.
Old school color calibration, check structure detection. It'll find the stars and white balance to the stars. So if you want just a stellar-based white balance in PixInsight, old school color calibration with structure detection on, it's fast, it works, no plate solves, no nothing. It just white balances your image. Done. People just like the fancy technical stuff, I guess, even though it doesn't really do anything more. So the layout. I'm sorry, Adam, did you have any other question before I hop on? Okay. So when you first get SAS, you're gonna have probably a bunch of stuff open. I don't even remember all the things it has open when you first get it, but it'll have a bunch of these panels open. These are all just different things: a file explorer, console status, header, let's see what else is probably open. I think this is open too. System log. All these panels can be moved. I know some people have said right away, especially on laptops, like I almost get no area to work. It's so cramped in here. Well, close these things if you're not using them. Or you can move them wherever you want. If you have multiple monitors, you can move them onto a different monitor and they'll stay there. So you could really move this stuff around wherever you want it. Really nice feature in SAS Pro as well is a command search, because when you first get it, you're not going to know what any of these icons mean, and you probably won't know where any tool is you want to find up here in the menu either. So just you could search for it. Like if I start typing in stretch, I got display stretch, hyperbolic stretch, star stretch, statistical stretch, even like save as, save project, right? The whole luminance, extract or recombine. So the whole of SAS Pro is searchable with this, which is a big help. Like when I started PI, I wish they would have had like a search function, man. That would have been huge. So definitely it's there. Use it. You could right click up here by the menu stuff and get all your panels. You can show and hide them, and then the toolbars themselves. These things could be moved all around too. Maybe you want this over here, you want this like this. So you can customize the layout how you want that makes sense to you. You could even hide icons if you don't want to see the icon anymore and unhide them to unclutter it. And very much like PixInsight, you can make shortcuts for things you use all the time. Be able to like drag and drop these operations, all sorts of stuff like that. And so it's very, very customizable. So when you first get it, if it looks crowded because it's showing you everything all at once, close the stuff, change it however you need to. Lot of the same kind of things you'd be familiar with, open, save project, load project, recent files, recent projects. To open a thing, you can double click the background here. You could drag and drop stuff to it. And then it has like normal undo, redo. Copy and paste, I really like. Let me look up just, I want to show you guys this. And this was something I added, again, kind of out of necessity, not necessity, more, I thought it'd be really nice for me just to do it. So, you know, like if you have images out there and you could just copy and then you could like Control V in here and just paste it in. So this has been a big help for me, just like copy and pasting stuff around. I wish more programs had a good copy paste. So you can absolutely copy and paste images directly into Seti Astro Suite Pro. If you have like a big JPEG open in something else, you could just, you know, Control C and then in here Control V and it'll paste it right in for you. Some other just normal stuff, convert mono to RGB, swap some channels. The bulk of what you guys will be using will probably be in functions. These are similar to processes and PixInsight. These are kind of one-off things that could run headlessly if you so really wanted it to do. So you got things in here, extract RGB channels, star stretch, statistical stretch, linear fit, histograms underneath there. So it's pretty much this whole big row of stuff in here. The other really nice thing, I guess I'll show really, really quick with histogram is another kind of annoyance that I had really with PI is you could have multiple histograms open at once that are linked to different images. And you could put them on a separate monitor, like I got a second monitor over here. They'll just stay over there. So as you manipulate images on your main thing, on your main canvas, your histograms will update. So you could have more than one histogram open as well, which is nice. And then yeah, just a whole bunch of your normal kind of functions in here: pixel math, morphological operations, white balance we already talked about, luminance extraction, recombination. The other thing here, luminance. What luminance? That's something that always bothered me as well in PI. There's different luminance definitions out there. Are you using Rec 709, 2020, 601? Are you doing unequal noise or narrowband mapping? Maybe you just want it directly from your sensor on how the sensor has its sensor responses, right, to extract your luminance. So there's all these different ways to extract your luminance that makes sense for you. Rec 709 is the basic one. That's probably what most people use anyways. But so a lot of stuff in there. Then I kind of grouped together a bunch of smart tools. These are everything that has a neural net. So we have Ricardo's aberration correction, which is very much like correct only in BlurX. Then you have cosmic clarity for sharpen, denoise, super res. I have cosmic clarity satellite remover. And this is really set up for monitoring a folder. And as you acquire data, as your acquisition software saves your subs, this will be monitoring that folder. Open your sub, look for satellite trails, and then clip those to black. So you don't have to be throwing away your subs with satellite trails in there. And then Grexperts underneath here, right? Because they use AI for the gradient correction and their denoise. Psycon's coming out with all their new tools, Starless, denoise, and they will have a sharpening coming out too. So I kind of grouped all those in one thing. And then remove stars is just remove stars. StarNet, Starless, or Psycon Starless, and then my own Dark Star, which I said I'll just be retiring. I don't have any need to keep that going. I have a whole bunch of tools. Now, tools are heavy hitter things. They're almost like scripts in and of themselves. There's, like perfect palette picker, selective color correction is really cool. If anybody's used like Jurgen's toolbox with his selective color, it's like that, but a little bit more on steroids. You could like shift click and it's going to actually select color for you over there. There's a bunch of tools over here to do everything with actually adjusting your mask. You could drag these thingies around. You could show the mask overlay, all that fun stuff. And then there's some various boosting modes and stuff like that. So selective color correction is a really fun one. The blink comparators in here. Maybe I'll just show you that really quick. Let me grab some lights. And it has all kind of the things you would in blink comparator. So you could like flick through them, and there's also an export to video, and there's also the interactive metrics and calling. And then what's also nice is once you actually call down your list of stuff, you can push them straight to the stacking suite right from here. So after you do your calling, you just push them over to the stacking suite. But yep, it's blink. It's blink like you would know. But if you click on interactive metrics and calling, it's going to go ahead and measure all your frames. And I used to have a warning on here that it may freeze up as it's going to try to do all the measurements, and it uses your CPU pretty heavily during this period of time. But I got rid of that warning. I think people were tired of saying okay since they were the ones selecting it. So we'll we'll just give it a second here to actually run the metrics. Yeah, here we go. And then you just get a nice little thing. And like I said, you can drag this red thing around and it'll flag them for you. I have some dash lines here for the plus or minus 3 sigma lines. And so you can just, like, I don't know, we'll just select some of these. So these will be our flagged ones. And if you right click over here, you can say, delete your flagged items, move all the flagged items. You could rename them. If you want to say, hey, these are bad, you could rename them all with a suffix. So a lot of things you could do in Blink. This is one of those ones, even if you have PI and you're going to do everything in PI, you might as well use Blink to do your culling just because it's really nice to see. And a whole bunch of other tools in there. Normal geometry stuff, flip, rotate, rescale, invert. I'm sure everybody's familiar with like Control I to invert your image, general stuff like that. Star stuff is where all the really big stuff lives for. If it deals with a star, it's under here. So exoplanet detectors, stacking, live stacking, supernova asteroid hunter. I put the planetary stacker in here. I know it's not a star. I had to put it somewhere, and the other stackers were in here. Don't kill me over that. Isophote modeler, image peaker. Image peaker is really good. You guys have probably seen scripts like this in PixInsight, but this one could do a bunch of other things too. Tilt analysis, focal plane analysis, astrometric distortion analysis. So a lot of heavy hitter tools in there. And so yeah, that all lives in there. Masks are really easy in SAS Pro to do. You could create a mask, you could draw it, preview it, you could push it to a new document, you could have your mask really quick. Shift drag this little thingy over, applies it. Control K shows and hides it. All the same kind of stuff you would be familiar with is with that. And there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Binary mask, range selection, lightness, chrominance, star masks, a bunch of preset color masks are all in there as well. And then the other thing, any image can be a mask of any other image. So it doesn't have to be a mask. In fact, if you just shift and drag this onto itself, it's going to put its own lightness as a mask onto it. So if you just want to apply a lightness mask, that's the best way to do it. You don't even got to create a mask. You just apply it to itself. And then Control Shift I will invert the mask. That should be really familiar for anybody doing that kind of stuff too. So like I said, I made masks super easy in SAS Pro because I was so frustrated in other software over masks. What's in my sky and image? What's in my sky is pretty nice. You just put in the date you want to observe. It's March already. Let's say we want to observe on the 15th. We're going to type in a transit time. So this is the time you want the object transiting. Your backyard may be set up in such a way that you want your object to be transiting at like 10 o'clock or something, let's say. And sure, we want the Messier catalog. And it's going to show you all the targets that are nearest to the transit and how many minutes to and from the transit it was, how full the moon is. It's going to have some other good information over here too. Degrees away from the moon, alternate names, stuff like that. And I got a bunch of catalogs in here. And this is kind of a cool one too, because you could double click any of these and it's going to open AstroBin searching for that target. So you can see what others have imaged for that target. And you can see NGC 2606, nobody's imaged it. It's a bunch of pictures of these comets because I bet that object just happens to be in the background of all these images, right? There's no dedicated image of NGC 2606. So if you want to find an obscure target that nobody's taken very much of on Astrobin, What's in My Sky can absolutely help you with that. To find, this is a great one. Two results for NGC 2617. One was captured in with when they're doing M48, and then this other guy standing in front of the stars, right? So you could absolutely find stuff that people haven't imaged before. So just a fun thing. What's in my image, like I said, is a lot more advanced in SAS Pro. The advanced search over here has all sorts of stuff. So it is a lot more going on. It has the 3D distance model, the HR diagram. It could also do minor planets and comets. So if you have something moving through your image, you could look for it with that. So a lot of fun stuff in there as well. Scripts, it's fully scriptable. I got actually a bunch of people on Discord now. I've been making a ton of scripts. I think we got like 3 dozen scripts already. So yeah, just I could do a whole thing about scripting in there. These are the ones you guys may want, even if you're going to be a diehard PI fan. Get it for this Astrobin exporter right here. So let's add some files. Minute. We got 2371. So this was a project that I was working on, bunch of images for. I'm just going to select them all, and it's going to parse them all out for me. So it kind of parses them all here. You could, see them all if you want, but importantly, it tells you all the dates, what filter was used. It has a managed filter thing. I had painstakingly went through all like 20 pages of the equipment in Astrobin and pulled across in an offline database for everybody to find their filters and equipment if you want to use it. You could also click the question box and it's going to take you to Astrobin so you could find your filters. But you could type in all your information up in here. And the cool thing is this down here, if you click copy CSV, that's the thing you copy and paste into Astrobin. And it'll dump all your acquisition details in for you. So you don't have to, you don't ever have to type all your acquisition details again. Just dump all your lights in here, hit that button, and copy it right into Astrobin. Huge time saver, man. I got some other good ones in here, especially, I don't have a FITS open. That's not going to help anybody. So I have a FITS header modifier and a batch modifier. And if you normally will never have to touch this, but man, if you have to change your FITS header on a ton of images, this thing could be a lifesaver. And I could think of a couple instances right now. I am testing a camera for SV Boni, and for whatever reason, it doesn't save the Bayer matrix. So I have to put in Bayer pattern, like Bayer pat RGB. I'll select all my files and hit run, and it'll update all whatever I had, 1,400 files this morning. So that was super quick and easy. The Celestron origin doesn't have the correct Bayer pattern, and Celestron refuses to fix it. So a lot of origin users have been using this now. It's just good to have. You probably, hopefully, I hope for you, you never have to mess with a bunch of FITS headers. But if you have to, it's there, which is nice. There's also a battery namer from FITS. And what's really cool with this is when you add your files into this, I'll just add some quick. it's going to pull all the fits header stuff in those files, like the object names, and you can build up a name for the files. So you could rename your files based on the information in the files themselves. So if you want, your filter, your exposure, the date, maybe you want, I don't know, filter wheel position or focuser or temperature or any of this stuff. You could put any of these things in the file name and batch rename all your files how you want it. Again, if you've ever had to batch rename a bunch of files, it's a pain in the butt. You're always searching on some sketchy website for some weird little program to help you do it. So I put this in here too, just to help you. You may never need it, but if you do, it's really nice to have. And then another cool one is my History Explorer. So let's use this quick. Sure, let's just I'm going to just do a quick like statistical stretch and do something funky with it. I don't know, just so we can have some processing done on this thing. Whatever. It really doesn't matter what it looks like. But what I want to show you is History Explorer. So SAS Pro saves all the history for your images, and it allows you to review them at that time. So we have our current image, but let's say we want to go back to right after we ran statistical stretch. And so you can see what it looked like back then, and then you can compare it to the current view. And you could zoom in, you can move this thing around. So in the middle of your processing, you've gone a couple steps. And I know we've all been here, and you're like, man, I don't know if I went too far, maybe overcooked it, whatever. You can use History Explorer, open up a couple steps ago, compare to current, and do one of these wipey guys, just to get a feel if that's, oh, I did mess that up. Let me undo a couple steps here, and just do that. So I thought that was kind of a fun thing I added. Views, yeah, you could do all this normal stuff, cascade them, tile them, stuff like that. There's a bunch of settings and all this stuff. And then I got a benchmark tool. Everybody loves a good benchmark. So if you want to benchmark your stuff, you can as well. And the all important about me is in here too. So about with a donation button. But more importantly is documentation. I did start a wiki. I'm bad with documentation, guys. It takes a lot of work to make SAS, and I haven't had a lot of time to make formal documents, but I have started a wiki for this. It has a bunch of stuff in here already, command line interface, different functions.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. I thought you said you weren't a coder, but you're bad at documentation, so you're a coder.
Oh, yeah, no.
Those are mutually exclusive. That's right.
Okay, all right, yeah, I guess I am, man. So I started this. This is like all the stuff open source. So if anybody wants to document for me, that'd be great too. But some good stuff's in here. Just like here's that math from statistical stretch you guys saw. It's the same stuff, and it's documented in here. So try to do that. The more important ones are like how to run it from the source code from Mac or Windows or the command line interface stuff. And just so there's general documentation stuff in here, but yeah, a stacking suite, live stacking, all that's in here. Mosaic master, RGB alignment. So sometimes this one's good if you got stars that have atmospheric dispersion or chromatic aberration spherically. from your setup where, in the corners you could see like the red is offset from the blue, and you could use RGB alignment, and it's going to just, it's basic. It's going to split your RGB channels up, and it's going to do a stellar alignment to the green channel with full homography warping to get all those back into alignment on it. So, there's a lot of little things in SAS Pro 2 that you may not use a lot, but are there if you need it. And I think I want to do one example with the planetary stuff. So I got some fun stuff here from the solar eclipse. So here's a solar disk, and I'm just going to treat it as a planetary thing. We can go really quick with this. It's kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4 thing. So the first step is to analyze, as with all these tools. So it's going to go ahead and do that, and then it's going to do kind of a 2-stage refinement. I tried to be as smart as I could be with the refinement, so it's less brute forcey, but it's still really good. It kind of still follows that gradient descent walk with the refinement. And what it does, if anybody's played around in Photoshop before, if you've ever taken a difference of 2 layers and offset them a little bit, you kind of get cool white outline lines around everything as the offset's there. That's what actually this is doing. It's going to look at all the images stacked up, and since there's atmospheric blurring of your image, it does that difference, and it looks for those little white offsets, and it tries to correct for that. So that's what that SSD is. It's the sum of squared differences. So that's what it's doing right now, is it's looking for all those offsets and trying to correct for the atmospheric distortion. And we'll just give it a second. As with everything stacking, sometimes it's just not the fastest. But it will use your CPU. I'll let you know that. It's churning away pretty good here. And then, while that's wrapping up, you can edit the alignment points when it gets done doing that. I almost never mess with it. I've seen so many things, especially when I started in doing planetary, where changing the alignment point, box sizes, and stuff, I almost never see any differences. Something that is nice in here is you could blink all your keepers. So if you have split frames or bad frames, that happens sometimes when you're doing the high speed image acquisition for the stuff in the video, right? You'll have a frame where it looks like your planet is cut in half and it's offset or something, or maybe the whole upper half of your image is white. You can reject those in there. But once the alignment and stuff's done, stacking is super fast. So I'm just going to say stack now, and it's going to go ahead and it's done. So here's my solar stack. I guess we'll zoom in. And like I said, I have some pretty powerful tools in here. So one of them is multi-scale decomposition. And it's very much like the multi-scale median transform and multi-scale linear transform in PixInsight, where I kind of took the best of both of those. So multi-scale median transform is actually not reversible. It's mathematically not reversible. Mine is, but some of you may also say it kind of looks like Registax too with their wavelet layers. So it kind of all comes together in this one tool. So, we have the sun here, and I'm just going to go ahead and crank up. You can crank that one up. We can maybe give it a little more on this, and we can go down to the next one and maybe just a little bit more, sure. And we'll just apply that to the document. So now here's our solar disk. And then something solar imagers especially do, and they'll take it over to IMPPG. They'll do kind of an invert like this, and then they're going to open curves. And bear with me, it's going to look weird. You're gonna do this, and you're going to go, what the heck are you doing with your image? Well, I'm going to do this, and now the solar disk is inverted, but the prominences aren't. They're the right way around. So now we have prominences the right way around. The solar disk is inverted. And let's go ahead and switch the mono to RGB because nobody likes a white sun. And let's open curves again. I'm just going to bring green down a little bit, and I'm going to bring blue down a bunch. And now let's bring up the reds, and I'm going to apply that, and done. So, I mean, that quick, using the tools in SAS to do planetary or solar work, but this multi-scale decomposition is the powerhouse tool to bring up those details like you would have with kind of registacks or whatever in the past, but it's mathematically so much more powerful using the multi-scale decomposition. But so yeah, that's some big stuff in here. I could probably talk way more on stuff. I'm probably losing my voice here a little bit, but oh, one more, dang it, did forget. Layers. So very much like any other thing, you can get layers. All right, I have my two images here. This one is the solved one, so you could build layers on it. Let's say I want to put I want to combine these images. So you could, make a layer of them. You could do like this is normal transparency kind of things. So you could do that. I got a bunch of blend modes here if you want to screen them or whatever the case is, right? There's all these different things, sigmoid blending, relativistic addition, a bunch of stuff. You could choose masks. You could invert masks. Excuse me, there's offset transforms if you want to like offset one layer to the other. And when you're done, you could just push to the view, and then it's going to go ahead and do it's like a merge all visible layers, right? And then it'll actually push it to the view. So if you're going to do things like add stars and stuff like that, you could easily do it in here with a screen blending mode. I also have a star addition button that also does a screen blending mode. I have an image combination button. Again, just different ways to combine images because other tools didn't have a lot of ways to combine images, and you were stuck with pixel math. So there's like 8 ways you could do screening your stars back in SAS Pro now. Maybe I went overboard, but there's a lot of ways for you to blend your stuff together now. But I think that's a decent overview of the software.
That's great, Frank. There's a really good question here from Jonathan that I'd like to answer real quick. And what is planned for the future of SetiAstro?
So I believe I was asked this on my very first talk I did for the astronomical channel, the TAIC. If any of you are familiar with that, they asked me that then, and at the time I had like this slide deck stopped at like Blemish Blaster at that time, and I didn't know then, and I don't know now what the future's gonna hold. I intend on continuing improving SAS Pro. I just came out with the AI4 models. It was also announced, and it's, I guess, not that well known, even though it was announced. I am working with SciCon as a consultant to help them with their new tools and stuff that they're developing. So I'm going to try to bring my knowledge into a bigger realm, hopefully. And like even today, the latest push out in Seti S Suite here, we've always been able to look at tables in the FITS files, but I added a bunch of features today to actually plot the information. So if you guys don't know, FITS isn't just a funky image format that astrophotographers came up, right? This is it's a scientific format, and most scientific institutions use FITS formats for all sorts of stuff. Tables of data, spectrums, mechanical tolerances, all sorts of stuff. So when you open up scientific data like that in SetiAstro Suite Pro, it'll open the image layers in there, but it's also going to open the tables for you as well. And it's going to allow you to plot this data. Like this is data from tests. And we can go ahead and zoom in on one of these exoplanet transits. We could tell it where's the error bars, and it's going to go ahead and put those on there now. There's a lot of data in this. So here's all the error bars put on. So you do something like that. We can crop the data, just all sorts of ways to manipulate these tables in SetiAstro Suite 2. And so all this plotting I kind of put in today. So there's all these things I still want to do in here. I mean, I was like, a giant table of data is really cool to see out of there. And I used to just have the export CSV so you could throw it in Excel and plot it, I guess. But I was like, hey, we should be able to do more in here. So I guess for the short term, I'm going to keep at this and trying to bring as much as I can to the astrophotography community, and work with those that are requesting it, I guess, as well, to help do whatever. So I hope that answered it. It's pretty vague because I don't know.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, Jim. I've been a long time user, PI. I have it integrated in PI. It's hard to keep up with the updates, but it's a great product. The question I have, and I don't want to take a lot of people's time out there to go through this, can you point me to a resource? I'm a Mac user, so I tend to have more issues getting it up and running correctly and finding where everything used to be. So what's your thoughts on that, besides getting off Mac?
Yeah, so on my Discord, glad you guys are starting a Discord. I have a whole dedicated Mac OS issues, tips, and help channel. And there are a couple really smart Mac users in my Discord that pretty much monitor this channel for me and jump all over it. Because I'm not a Mac user. I bought 2 Mac Minis just to compile this software for everybody. So I got an Intel Mac and an Apple Silicon Mac, and that is literally the only thing I do on it is compile it for everybody. So those other 2 individuals are so much smarter than me. And you can see here's people with issues, right? And it looks like the last one was 2 days ago. Somebody was just having some difficulty with that. But for the most part, if you look 21 days ago, it's pretty stable software at this point. I hope I'm past most of the other stuff. And then I just have a general no one likes bugs channel for bug reporting. So most of the stuff flows in there, and I try to actively deal with it. If anybody's on my Discord, they know I'm pretty active on it, and so we try to deal with it and help as much as possible. I think I'm really patient when it comes to answering the same question over and over and over and over again. Um, so feel free to ask away if you got problems, Jim.
Yeah, Jim,
Well,
I've had some serious problems with my Mac and SAS, and Frank is right. They answer within about 10 minutes, and they fix the problems. I got a few
yeah, I'm
problems yet.
on.
I got few problems yet to fix, but I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm on Discord, and I'd rather you spend your time enhancing and adding things. We'll let the Mac guys do that. So thanks very much.
So Frank, how well does the Seti Astro Suite handle a large mosaic?
Yeah, as well as your computer can. So, for mosaic, man, okay, so are you saying creating a mosaic or just image manipulating? Creating, it works really good, because you're only really dealing with, I don't know what we consider large, 6 to 8 panels, to
40.
stitch. 40 is going to be maybe a little different. So for 40, I'm guessing you're covering a broader swath of the sky, and you're going to want precise on this, because what that'll do is do a full reprojection of each panel to warp it onto the celestial spheres first. Because when you project a square out onto the actual celestial sphere, it's no longer quite a square, right? Kind of like
Right.
Latin log grids on Earth aren't quite squares. If you have it on precise, it's going to do the full reprojection prior to the stitching, and aligning, which will help that a lot. It's just not going to be fast, especially for 40 panels that you're doing.
What about the overlays with a bright star would be if you get any flaring or anything like that? How well does it take care of that? That's my biggest problem with PixInsight when doing it.
Yeah.
It usually, when you get that border star, you get the color red on one side and blue on the other, and it kind of just wipes all the way through the whole thing.
I haven't had many issues where my borders live. It does a good job of blending. I like to think a lot of it comes down because it is doing, first, the good reprojection when you're doing it like that, and then kind of those settings that you use in PI about cropping in the edges and feathering all that.
Yeah.
I just pretty much hard coded all that to be pretty aggressive in Seti Astro Suite. So for your case, I would try 4, see how they look, in case you want to tweak anything, because there are a number of settings in here, that you may want to fiddle with, right? Prior to going whole hog doing 40 at a time, right? Try 2 to 4.
Yeah, my plan with PixInsight was, again, since I've got, it's a 5x8 layout, so it's 5 across, 8 down, and it's basically doing the Barnard's loop through Orion.
Yep. Okay.
All of it. I mean, so I got from the Witch's Head Nebula all the way up, all the way around and stuff, and I've still got a lot more panels to collect. Since I don't have a full frame sensor, I could do them in half like Merrill did. Merrill cheated with the full frame sensor. I got a regular crop sensor.
15 frames.
Yeah. So my plan with PixInsight, I mean, it does good. It's just the way sometimes you get the edge stars that it kind of when it overlays it, it kind of flares.
They look.
You got to trim all that.
In PI when they do it, and I don't know why either. I don't know why it does that. I haven't seen that in how I have it implemented.
So you usually have to do the little edge cropping and then do a large feather, so 80 to 120 range on the feather, and usually takes care of most of that. So I've got the witch head done. I got five of the 8 panels done of that. I got the other 2 panels finally done. I haven't got it combined together. So I figured, well, with PixInsight, if you do it all at once, there's no telling where all those pinched optic stars are going to be at. So I figured, well, I was going to do it in strips. So I was going to figure I'd do a single 8 top to bottom, and then the next 8 top to bottom, and work my way across, and then combine those together.
Yeah, big mosaics are. I mean, they're hard, no matter how.
Oh yeah.
How you try to shake a stick at it. And and like I said, I pretty much hard coded my Mosaic Master to do a hard feather and a crop on the images already. So, and honestly, I don't know how they do their warping that gives that pinch star look. I think it's because they're using a lot of thin plate splines, and you can get some aggressive localized warping using thin plate splines, and I don't. I stick usually with homography or affine transforms, which are plenty good with what we do, and they're more accurate to how a telescope warps the data anyways, like your optics. So I would go ahead and throw like a 2x2, like 4 images into this with precise and homography. Just see how it goes for you. If you got issues or whatever, ping me on Discord, and or even send me 2 to 4 of them, and I'll give it a go too. I've done stuff like that for a bunch of people. Like, send me your stuff if you're having problems. I'll see how it looks when I do it, and maybe I'll figure out some nice settings for you to use.
Cool deal.
So the formats you use,
questions.
so the formats you use on this is EXIF on your
Any.
Okay, well, I mean, if I wanted to create for some reason, create a mask in SETI and bring it over to PixInsight, easy to do.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, PixInsight could open any file as well. But SAS Pro opens XISF, no issue. So, a lot of the time, especially earlier when I wasn't quite as fully loaded out, it was really easy to have PI open on one screen and SAS Pro open on another. And since SAS Pro could read the XISF, you could just, do the quick save out of PI and open it over here. Like I have masters here. This is a whole bunch of Pix output stuff, right? And you can go ahead and just, sure, I grab that. The local normalization master, and nobody wants to see that. And it opens the same thing. Here's that crop mask that you always close and never look at anyways. Here's the actual file. So it has no problem opening XISF files, or even layered ones. Like if you open a non-cropped master in here. Let's see if I got one of those. It should be all 3 of them with the 2 rejection frames. Yeah, reject high, reject low, and then the actual image. So, yep, no issues. Use whatever you want. Open it. SAS Pro opens all sorts of stuff, including all those tables and the fits.
I see you take donations, which is great, and you deserve it. Have you considered Patreon like Telescopius does?
Yeah, so since I'm kind of a one-man show with this stuff, Patreon would just be another thing I have to manage and watch and just manage, and I just don't got time for that. So I mean, I got a YouTube channel. I'll take donations. I'm making this. I try to keep all up on Discord, and I mean, I thought about it. I looked at creating a Patreon and stuff, and it was just like, I don't know what like tiers, like I don't know what I'm going to offer anybody for like goodies and none, like I don't know. So no, I don't have a Patreon. It's just,
I think you showed us the goodies tonight.
Yeah, I don't got enough time, man.
Anyone else got any questions?
Oh, one other really nice thing, and it's a minor thing, but in SAS Pro, you can permanent stretch with this, just by make display stretch permanent, Shift A, and it'll do it. And that again was mostly a pet peeve that in PI you gotta, drag the little blue thing down from the STF over to the histogram and then the histogram over to the image. So yeah, if you just hit Shift A on your keyboard, it perma stretches it as that stretch, and then to toggle the display stretch is just the letter A on the keyboard. So those are really quick. I just want to throw that out there that I did make that one little nice thing because it was really annoying that you couldn't just make that stretch the permanent one.
Shortcuts.
Oh, I do have, shortcuts. I list my shortcuts,
Cool.
which is also a really nice thing. And there is an Easter egg shortcut if you get tired of processing and you just want to play some SAS Pro Space Invaders. Hit that and it'll pop open a little Space Invaders game for you. Here,
cool.
Yeah, it's
very cool.
yeah. Hey! But yeah.
All right.
Well, great job. Great job.
This is quite a treat, and we thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. I like talking about it. You can see I think I've talked solid for almost 2 hours.
So since we aren't going to pay you, we have trinkets. We have a red LED light with the Memphis Astronomical Society logo, and we have
that'd be great.
We have the highly coveted Memphis Astronomical Society coffee mug, featured speaker edition.
Oh.
So we'll get these out to you soon.
That'd be amazing. Yes.
Now show him your Emmy.
Yeah.
He already did.
Yeah, he did that already.
He already did.
That's ridiculous.
We should have recorded that, Rick.
Why does Rick have an Emmy?
Rick got invited
You had to ask.
Go to Mexico with a team from NASA and the Exploratorium Museum in San Francisco to be the backup team for the last solar eclipse. And the primary team was in Texas. We were in Torreon, Mexico, which was a little cool because we get the eclipse before the team in Texas did. And so anyway, the program won an Emmy. It was featured nationwide, worldwide. It was free. It was a satellite uplink. Lots of places carried it because it was funded partially by NASA. It was free and open to the public, so they were able to get it and use the footage. If you saw on TV the eclipse and Torreon, Mexico was the site, that was my telescope, and wow. I was operating everything.
So it's a real Emmy.
It is a real Emmy.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh.
I was tickled to get invited to do it. It was a blast. It was an opportunity of a lifetime, and there's a fun story to go with it. I won't bore y'all with, but to do all that, get home, and they paid me to do it. Get home, and then 8 or 9 months later, almost a year later, I get a phone call from actually one of the guys that was one of the video engineers that he and I connected pretty good, and we've kept in touch since. He goes, "Well, congratulations on your Emmy." I said, "What are you talking about?" And sure enough, what is it called? It's the
goodness.
Outstanding Live News Special, 2024 Total Solar Eclipse Through the Eyes of NASA, NASA Plus. Rick Honey, camera person. So news and documentary specials for 24, 25.
That's
So
too cool.
it is.
Yeah, we're all hoping for like a top pick in Astrobin, and you pull out an Emmy.
Yeah, seriously. Wild.
It's hilarious. Is they'll be interviewing these I think we're interviewing Robert De Niro the other day on TV in some YouTube thing I was watching, and on the shelf behind him is an Emmy. I'm sitting there,
Sure. Yeah, he's got...
I have one of those.
Yeah, right. Big deal, De Niro. Whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I derailed things there with my question, but that's a really neat story.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, you need to bring it out to Rhodes next month. Nathan's giving the talk.
Yeah. I need to do that.
Beat him over the head with it for saying, "Is it real?"
Do you got a special carrying case for it yet?
It came with one. You should see the box it came in. So, all right. Well, let's listen. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for your questions. Frank, thanks for a wonderful presentation. This was excellent. And we've got some exciting presentations coming up in the not too distant future. Deva Sobel is a world-renowned science history author. Books like Longitude, the story of how Harrison invented the clock and solved the longitude problem. Galileo's daughter, a lot of information about Galileo, and I think it was derived from letters that he had written to his daughter. The Glass Universe, which was a story about the Harvard computers, the women that Henrietta, what was her name? Anyway, the ones that did so much scientific work in astronomy that never got any credit for it until recent years. And then her latest one, I think, is on Madame Curie. I just got started on that one recently, but she'll be with us soon. What month have we got a month for that?
That's going to be May.
May. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Nathan's April.
Yeah, that'll be a Zoom meeting too. So
no, Nathan. Yeah, the May's going to be Zoom. Nathan's going to be at Rhodes.
Yeah. All right. Well, looking forward to next month's meeting, Nathan. And thank y'all very much for attending tonight, and hope you've had a good evening. And we will see y'all later.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Frank, that was great.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Great job.
Bye-bye.